Taylor, you're a mortgage broker. You're one of the top mortgage brokers in Southern Arizona. Actually, since you started in the industry, you started in mortgage tech, you lead a team, and the next milestone for you is to hit 80 million in annual production. Thanks for joining. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for having me on today, Sam. Very excited to be here, and I appreciate the introduction. And yeah, we got big goals, and that's personal production goals, right? I mean, team production is going to take it to another level, but we're not stopping. The job's not finished. We're just going to keep growing.
I love it. Let's start with some numbers. I'm infatuated by the fact that you said ever since you started in the industry, you've been one of the top mortgage brokers in your area in Southern Arizona. Do you mind actually giving us some numbers from when you started and how much you're doing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first month at my company, um, or I should say the month after the first month at Barrett Financial, because I had to get the pipeline. I closed first loan or four loans in the first month. Four loans in the first month, right off the back, hit the ground running. That was in August of 2023, and we held pace in September, and then by like October, November area, we were closing between 5 and 7 loans a month, and then last year it really took off. I mean, we really started to hit our stride in 2024. My goal for 2024 was a stretch goal. It was to hit 20 million in personal production volume. We finished the year at 24.2 million, so we knocked out that goal. So doubled, last year's goal for this year to 40 million, and we're pretty on pace. I mean, a little behind, not much. I mean, I think I'm tracking towards like 38 million right now, but we're looking to, make up for some of that, and once we get you know, my July deals filled out, I think we'll be pretty on track for that. But yeah, right away, one of the top mortgage brokers in my market. Whenever I check, I'm always switching places between the first spot, second spot, and third spot. But my trajectory is up, and those other guys are kind of steady. So I have no doubt that by 2026, I will be healthily in place number one for the top mortgage broker in my market.
I love it. I love you have big goals and you have a clear process to getting there, which we're gonna get to later. A little teaser, reputational selling. I think you coined the term, right? Are you the founder of the reputational selling movement?
Yeah, I have never heard that term used before, but it's exactly how I operate. Uh, I might be a little bit different than a lot of traditional salespeople and mortgage people. I don't sit by the phone calling people all day. I rarely cold call realtors. And honestly, I don't cold call them at all. If I'm calling a realtor, there's some connection already, right? And they're happy to hear from me, right? They know who I am, because of reputation. A lot of the people that I work with, I was introduced by other people that I work with, right? And my realtors are amazing, right? We have great relationships, great connections, and they're my greatest fans. They're all about my success, and they're always recommending me to their other realtors they work with, their friends, listing agents, etc.
I love it. We're gonna go into your process of how you do it. Couple more questions about your numbers. So you're gonna hit 40 million. You're on pace for it.
Mm-hmm.
What is your average loan amount?
Probably around this year, it's a little up. I would say like 375-ish, maybe 400, which is pretty solid for Southern Arizona. I mean, where the average purchase price of a home is around 350. So to have an average loan amount that's higher than that, especially when I have a lot of, 80 LTV and lower loans to still be there. I have been doing a lot of bigger purchases this year.
That's fantastic. And you're a broker, and a lot of people that may be watching this, they're not really familiar with broker. I guess whatever you want to tell them about being broker, but the thing I share with people is that brokers make more money. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, brokers make more money depending on the business model. I make more money not because I'm making more money per deal a lot of the time. I'm very competitive. I mean, I have a target comp, right? But I am very willing to, utilize the broker specific tools at my disposal, like borrowed paid compensation, to be able to um, to make less to win the deal and to increase my reputation and referral base.
I love that. Winning the deal, increasing your reputation, every interaction seems like it can lead to more interactions, and that's what you're using. In your market, what do you find the margin that is like a healthy margin where the loan officer is happy, team's happy, and the client's happy? What's that range?
So my market's a very retail heavy market where we have some other players out there on the IMB side, independent mortgage banks that are really anywhere from 3 to 7 or 8% in margin, especially on government. So it's really easy to beat them and for me to, be at 200% or 200 margin, right? So 200 basis points wins most deals. But I'm happy to cut when I need to. I mean, listen, nobody likes to work for free. My clients and my partners value the work that I do, but especially as I'm doing some of these larger deals, I have to be conscious of that and the margin there, especially when we're competing with banks and credit unions.
Credit union is hard to beat them. They don't pay taxes. The loan officer makes no money. They're not trying to make their phone ring, so it's that it's just that their rates are unbeatable. But it seems like after credit unions and builders, like no one beats the broker pricing. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, I mean, retail can't beat me on pricing. If they're beating me, they're either it's another reason. I don't want to say they're playing dirty because some of them are, some of them aren't. I mean, I could talk all day about that, and I like to smack talk on that, and people get angry at me. But I mean, yes, and credit unions we are competitive on certain deals with credit unions. When I'm working at 1% margin, which I will do on certain deals, I'll be in the arena with credit unions. I've won deals against credit unions this year. Of
It's fantastic. And by the way, this video is not the pros of being a broker versus IMB. Each one has their pros and
course.
cons, so it's very much an individualistic decision. Tell me a little bit about your team. How big is your team right now?
Yeah, so we currently are three. I have a processor slash loan officer assistant who is really going to be transitioning into an operations manager over time, right? As we're growing. And I also have a loan officer on the East Coast. And we're in the process of bringing on another loan officer slash loan partner who will be helping me with my book of business and opening up other verticals within our business, just to continue growing and to get me out there doing stuff like this and meeting with people and networking and just growing that reputation instead of sitting behind the computer and on the phone doing loans.
I love it. And do you already have a clear path for how your team will grow when you start to go after that 80 million goal?
Yeah, I mean, to be there, I know that I at least need to have this person I'm bringing on, and then sometime at the beginning of next year, I will likely need to bring on another loan partner as well. I was actually looking to hire two loan partners, but I did some interviews and I'm opting just to go with one for now. I don't want to be too aggressive with that, especially as we're going into the summer season, right? But yes, I am fairly certain that I will at a minimum need two loan partners on top of my processor slash executive assistant.
Fantastic. And do you have like a breakdown of how many team members you need for how many loans that you do monthly?
Yeah, I mean, for what I'm looking to do, I don't have a hard number on it, but I want to have at least one loan partner for every 10 loans. I believe that'll be because the first loan partner is about freeing me up for the first 10 loans, right? And then adding on to more, right, with more loan partners. So my numbers tell me I need to be doing at a minimum 20 to 25 loans a month to be able to hit that 80 million goal. So that's kind of where I'm backing into that number. So 10 to 12 or 13 loans per loan partner a month.
That's a really healthy place to be. Let's talk about your realtor partners, how many referral partners you kind of think, how many you have right now and how many you think you'll need. So I guess let's start with what's your logic if you use any like sales math or numbers for deciding how many referral partners you need.
Yeah, I don't back into it by the amount of partners that I will need. I'm just all about exponential growth and force multipliers and continuing to provide excellent service and the ability to structure loans that a lot of people aren't really giving that tailor-made touch, so to speak. And so anyway, I don't have a metric on how many partners I will need, realtor partners. I can say this in terms of active realtor partners, I got at least 20 to 30 realtors that are actively sending me deals. I got another 20 to 30 that are actively sending me, leads that haven't quite turned into deals yet. I mean, we got a lot of traction going, a lot of good reputation amongst the local community here, as well as some other pockets of the US.
I love it. Oh, so you do loans outside of your market as well.
Yeah, I'm licensed in 9 states, and I have done loans in many states this year of the ones I'm licensed in. I've done loans in Florida, Georgia, Minnesota, Alabama, Illinois, and more I'm blanking on. But yes, we've done loans throughout the country.
So actually, that's a question that I get really frequently from, especially new loan officers. They ask me, should I get licensed in another state? My answer to them always is like, don't do it unless you're already getting referrals from that place, kind of like an organic growth. What's your stance on that?
I do it when I get a deal. Temporary authority as soon as I get the deal, and do whatever education I need to do to turn on temporary authority, work the deal, and go in with a deal. That's how I do it.
So it's not like, hey, I'm gonna get a license here and I'll start like working the market there.
I don't market to them at all. These are all referral based, reputation based nationally.
I love it. I love it. But let's talk about you and your background.
Hmm.
How did you, so you worked in mortgage tech before, and then you came into the mortgage sales side. Were you on retail first or bank, or did you come straight to broker channel?
So a couple questions there. We'll start with my background. So I got into mortgage at the beginning of the refi boom. I was recruited to a company called Simple Nexus on the business development side, and they're a point of sale solution, an e-close solution. They were early e-close provider that partnered with Encompass, really just for an end-to-end solution, for client experience, realtor experience, all the way to the LO experience and closing, et cetera, right? So I was doing business development for that. I quickly was very successful at that, was promoted to account executive. Um, I was primarily selling into independent mortgage banks and credit unions and banks at the time. We really weren't selling into brokers at all. I wasn't very familiar with the broker channel, to be honest, at that time. And then in 2022, I was recruited to a company called House Canary, and many who might be listening to this would be familiar with the home value estimator in United Wholesale Mortgage. That is House Canary. My
Mhm.
buddy Mark is the account manager for that. I have a good relationship with them and their CTO and the people over there, and it helps me to be better at what I do now. But so I was selling data and analytics. Specifically, I was selling a home search platform for large servicing books at mortgage banks and at retail banks. Two of my flagship clients were Loan Depot and Ally Bank. Ally Bank, as many know, has recently exited the origination space, and I have some friends who got hurt by that. But at the time, it was a good thing for me, and I made good relationships. I would fly across the country, put on a suit, meet knee to knee with banking executives, and we would sell in that way, and it was different. But I didn't feel like I loved the mortgage aspect, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I was actually laid off from House Canary while I was the top salesperson in the company, right?
Ah,
Top guy in the company, they laid me off. And prior to that, I had started the process for getting licensed because I saw the writing on the wall. This is right around when Silicon Valley Bank failed, right? I knew what was happening. I knew that there was a lot of headwinds, right? And I got licensed and it lined up perfectly with when I was laid off. So I at first I actually went to a former client of mine, um, and I talked to their manager and I got hired at a retail mortgage bank. Um, After 2 weeks, I left that retail mortgage bank. Um, I mean, I know we're not here to debate one versus the other, but it wasn't for me. And I'm not going to go too far into it because anybody could look up my consumer access and know who that was. But I'll just say this, it wasn't my speed, it wasn't for me. And most importantly, I didn't need them. I didn't need a
Mhm.
mentor to teach me how to do mortgages because when I came in, I already knew about 1003. I already knew about Mismo. I already knew about secondary and market movers and the economy and pricing and the different vendors out there and the different models and who my competition was. I knew my competition before I ever did a single loan. So I was able to come in with a very different angle and be completely self-taught. I structured loans with account executives. I worked with, people who've been in the business, who they trusted me and my knowledge base enough, and that I would learn the loans like a sponge, and I was doing good loans that they would walk through with me and help me to structure those early loans. So yeah, I went right from banker to broker within 2 weeks, and we just hit the ground
Wow.
running. Yeah, I was hired directly by Trevor Barrett. I was referred to him. I called him up while he was on vacation with his family in California on a weekend, and he interviewed me and hired me on the spot.
Wow, wow. Also, a little credit to Trevor. I don't know him very well, but like to be on vacation on a weekend and still take a call from someone who's in the industry for 2 weeks is like a credit to him. And but obviously he saw something in you, and he's like, you know what? You gotta come work with me.
Right, and I made him proud right away. I made President's Club my first full year at Barrett Financial, which is the top 30 loan officers at the company of 1,700 loan officers. And then they had another little what's it like a competition to see if you get 40 purchase units by the end of June. They're doing an all paid, all-inclusive trip for a person and their spouse or family member to Cancun. And we hit number 40 in purchase units 2 days ago, hit 41 yesterday. So we're in Cancun, baby, and we're excited
Let's
to go
go.
there.
That's awesome. And that's when you went. So your first month, well, not the first month, like first full month in Barrett, you did 4 loans, and that was also your first full month really as a loan officer.
Yep, and my first closed loan was the day my daughter was born.
Whoa. Congrats. First daughter or first
Oh,
kid or
first and only, first and
first
only.
and only? No more.
We were in the hospital. My wife was getting ready to give birth, and I was closing loans. And when she was getting ready to go into labor, just checked out. And sorry, partners, time to go. It's go time. And yeah,
Wow.
my first loan the day my daughter was born.
That is a wild experience. Is that like I guess like this is something every loan officer deals with, especially as they get busier. How do you manage your personal life with being with loans and clients and managing expectations? So like literally your first loan, your daughter is being born. So you learned it right away. How
Yeah,
do you
I fumbled into it. That's the best way to say it. I mean, there's only really one path I've seen to get my life back because the first few years are hustle, right? The only path is to delegate and grow.
Mhm.
Without delegating responsibility and trusting and growing and knowing, the big one for me is letting go of control, knowing they're never going to do the job as good as me. They may be better at certain aspects of the job than me, but they'll be 70 to 80% as good as me at what I do. And they're not me. They're not the person that my partners have chosen. So getting past that fear and that hurdle and being able to delegate is the only way to get my life back. The big pivotal moment for me is when I took my processor from a third-party processor and hired her in-house at Barrett, and created a future partnership with her, right? Like we are deeply ingrained in each other's future. That's when I got my life back and went from maybe 70, 80 hours a week to like 40 to 50 hours a week. And this next stage of my evolution is about getting to a healthy 40 or under a week and being able to do the things that I know are going to be those force multipliers because that life balance is it's non-existent as a loan officer. But when I'm building a business, it becomes existent, right? We could do it when we're an owner rather than just a loan officer who's grinding every day, doing the loans, making the calls, going to meet people, putting out fires. I cannot do all of that and keep and make new relationships and be a father and be a husband and be present, right? It's impossible. I'm even at home, working at home, unable to be present when I am doing everything.
Yeah, that's it. I think what you said that really resonates with me actually is like that mindset shift. As a loan officer, your mindset always is like hustling, go get the loan, do the loan all the time. But you shift your business to a business owner, and then it seems like there's a gap that becomes from you and the work, and you kind of start to see things in bucket. Like, hey, you have your business, which is your also paycheck work bucket, but then you have your family, and you can only like see it from above when you make that mindset shift, and you're like, all right, well, family is really important, so I have to give something here to make sure my family gets the attention I want. So what took you, what was it for you that to make that mindset shift?
There were a couple of things. I mean, one was just the strain of my relationship with my wife and not being as present as I wanted to be for my daughter. So that was kind of like the writing on the wall, but then there was kind of a plateau where I couldn't really get past 8 loans a month without making a change. And I just I went for it, and I needed to hire, bring in house, and just change the way we're doing things. And another big one of the mindset shift is so my daughter she's a type 1 diabetic. She's less than 2 years old, and my wife is also a type 1 diabetic, so there's a lot of attention that's needed at the home. And my wife is a saint. She manages our daughter August's diabetes amazingly well because of her own diabetes. But I still want to be present. I don't want to be a bad dad. I just don't want to be a bad dad. And that means growing and delegating. And how can I hit those crazy stretch goals while being a better father and better husband each and every year? Um, that's being an owner, like you said.
Wow, it's so you're trying to improve in every part of your business, and not just business in your life, being a father, being a better husband, being a better loan officer, being a better business owner. And you didn't exactly say this, but I kind of am hearing it's like being a better leader for your
Mm.
team as well. So I'm gonna ask you two questions. You take whichever one you want to answer. Totally
Yeah.
up to you. Uh, let's how did you get how did you go about getting deals when you started, and what do you do now? Or how do you think about leadership, and what leadership means to you, and how do you become a better leader?
So, how did I get deals in the beginning? I mean, that's I try to think back on that, and I made some very critical relationships early on, and I gained the trust of people, and I didn't pretend to be different than I was. I didn't pretend to be a seasoned, experienced loan officer. I shared about my strengths and my understanding of mortgage, right? Which a lot of people coming into mortgage, they cannot honestly say that without, they can't say, "Hey, I understand mortgages," when they don't, right? I did. So that was my leg up, is my background prior to originating, gaining trust easily, being an educator, right? Educating people early on and sounding much more experienced than I am, while still acknowledging that I've only been in the business for, at that time, a month, 2 months, right? Um, and I was doing hard deals. Like, another thing about that deal, that first deal I closed was a hard money loan. Hard money.
Whoa.
Yes.
Wow.
So that I won an agent with that loan. And that agent, I actually sat down with them while I was still employed by the mortgage bank, and I was considering going broker, right? And sitting down with her after she invited me to coffee. I didn't invite her to coffee. She invited me to coffee, this agent. I sat down with her, and she said, I have a client and I need your help. I love my loan officer. I'm obsessed with my loan officer. Can you help me on this though? And we had a talk, and that was what I needed to make the jump. So I initiated the process. I went broker, and I utilized the resources that I have at my company to find a good placement for a hard money loan, right? And we closed that, and the rest is history. I did maybe 2 dozen deals with that agent over the next, 12 months. And she referred me to many other people, and a lot of relationships have formed from that.
2 dozen loans over a 12 months period and referrals to other realtors. I think that's a perfect segue to reputational selling.
Hmm.
How about we tell us what it is and how you work it? What's your process?
All right. So reputational selling, I mean, talk is cheap, right? Every loan officer can cold call realtors if they're not afraid of the phone. They can cold call realtors and say, I got amazing products. I'm always reachable and, I close on time and, all the stuff, right? Let's have coffee and talk about the same crap that everybody and their mother is already selling them on, right? That's not reputational selling. That is bad habits that have developed from different types of markets than we're in right now, right? That's people who are used to getting it handed to them in an up cycle, just trying to navigate, a tough cycle, right? I don't do that. I never did that. I am offering value without expectation of anything in return, right? I'm offering value up front. Social media, Hormozy-esque type selling, right? Um, Offering value to the people around me. They share it with their friends. Knowledge, market updates, consistency, um, availability, right? Now, there's a balance on that. Like I said, especially as I'm trying to work on the family life, right? But I'm going to be having those conversations with the people I work with. Like, listen, I'm managing the loans. I take ownership of the loans, but they're going to be people that I'm going to entrust with certain parts of it, right? Like, I always want to own the realtor and the client relationship. And if I'm doing that and scaling from that platform, I can get out of the minutia, like, and really follow that 10-80-10 rule where I'm there at the first 10% and I'm there at the end, but I'm delegating in the middle and I'm really only coming in when absolutely crucial in that 80%. But I'm making it happen, and that is contagious. People want to hear about a person who not just is talking, but is actually doing, right? I perform better than I share about it, right? I could tell stories all day, and I'm a big believer in selling by story, right? But
Hmm.
when the actions speak louder than the words, that's where reputational selling comes in.
So two words really stand out by to me, actions and stories. So it seems like for reputational selling to work, you first have to be actually really competent. How bizarre. You have to know what
Right.
you got to be able to close loan and what is it? Does your shirt say know things or do things?
I close loans and I know things. It's Game of Thrones.
Uh,
I
I
drink
love
and I know things. I close loans and I know things.
classic Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah.
Uh, So I love it. So you have to be really good. You have to be really competent, but you have to also know how to brag about yourself through stories, which makes it sticky.
Mhm.
So how do you go about when to share a story to who, when, how, all of that?
Yeah, that's good discovery. I need to understand the person I'm talking to because whether I'm dealing, let's start with clients. When I'm dealing with a client, there's five tenets of how I do my initial discovery. I start off by, obviously the niceties, but then the first one is what's your goal? What are you looking to do? What are you looking to accomplish? How can I help you get there? Right? Like that's question one, right? And it's a long question, but that's question one. And they talk about it and I get an understanding of their goals and who they are and what they're looking to do and just what their timeline is, all that stuff, right? Then very simple, income, assets, and credit, right? Any good loan officer, you have to know the story of income, assets, and credit. And then I finish off with, is there anything that's going to prevent you from qualifying for a loan? Any obstacles we're going to have, right? By having that good initial conversation, um, I'm able to understand what's the best story in the right situation with the right client, right? So that's a huge piece, right? And with partners, like they tell me about what they're struggling with, realtors, potential partners, what's in front of them, what are they looking to do, what type of scenario does their client have, is it non-QM, is it a unique scenario, unique questions. I could share on the bank of stories of similar loans that I've closed.
Mm, I love it. So one question, and then I'm going to make a comment is, do you take phone apps or do you have an initial phone conversation and then send an application link?
Yeah, so what I do is, sorry, I'm just telling somebody, a client that's closing that I'm in a meeting. Sorry about that. So what I do, I don't do 1003s over the phone, like actually typing in or taking 1003s. That's super dinosaur, old school, just not modern. I will have my assistant do that for folks who need it. When I say take a good 1003, I mean I'm learning their story so I can
Mhm.
match it to what they actually do in Arrive and when they submit their documents, right? Because we use Arrive as our LOS and POS. I am not, unless absolutely necessary, taking a 1003 like the actual stuff over the phone. It's just the story that's important to me.
So that first conversation with the borrower, you're just actually asking, like you said, where are you trying to go and how can I help you get there? And it seems like you're doing the same thing with realtors. Like what are they struggling with? You're giving them value and helping. And that's before you ask for anything. So do you ask for business at any point?
Not really.
Do you just kind of you give enough until you start getting?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever asked, or is it just you've asked and didn't work out and you don't like it? What's your relationship for asking for business?
I may have asked at some point. I'm more apt to one of the best relationships I have. With a team I've done a lot of volume with this year. I've been working with somebody on the team for the past 2 years. I did ask her to set up a meeting with the team lead. Um, I'll ask for that. I'll ask to make an introduction to do. That's reputational selling right there, right? Like I performed, you know what's up with me. So when I ask that question, you have no problem, right? And she obliged. She set up that meeting, and the rest is history. And I've done like 12 loans for that team lead this year, not to mention another 5 or 6 of his personal refinances for his flips. So I ask for stuff like that. I don't ask, hey, are you gonna give me a shot? Like I remember my old boss in that 2 weeks at that mortgage company. I set up a meeting with one of my realtors, and he gave virtually no value, and then said, just give me a shot on 5 loans, and then you'll see if I'm good enough. Like really, like don't be that. Don't be that. You got to be better. They need to ask us, and that's how I operate. My realtors say, would it be okay if I sent you some deals? That's how I operate.
I love it. Okay, so two questions then. What is the value you add to realtors? And two, do you have a process for when you ask for an introduction to another realtor from your realtors?
It usually happens organically to answer the second question, in terms of when I ask that question. And it usually involves a lot of homework to make sure, I know why I'm asking for the meeting. I don't just ask for a meeting because I'm amazing, right? Oh, I'm amazing. Give me a meeting. Like, no, that doesn't work, right? Anybody could say that. I need to, A, have proven that, and B, I need to have an itinerary for that meeting. Um, so, sorry, what was the first question again?
What's the value that you like to add the most?
Oh,
Like,
the
what is
value that
your
I like to
value?
add. So a lot of that has to do with local understanding of the market as well as national trends, but also, and this is a big one that comes from my background in business to business selling, is I am a really great sales coach. I'm a really great teacher coming in there, working with the team, helping them to improve, preventing fall through, getting more business, role playing, just being an invaluable member of their team where they cannot operate without me. I got a realtor. He has not closed a single deal in his career that other than a new build with any other lender. Not a single one, right? And it's not even like he is just steering towards me because it's not that at all. He's given plenty of other loan officers a shot, but he gives the client options and we structure it together and we just crush it. We partner together. We're so great at what we do. I create firm partnerships with people who are I'm invaluable to their business. That's the value that I offer. I'm structuring deals. We are going over scenarios to make the numbers work. We are going over trends in specific neighborhoods and how is a seller going to react to this? How are we going to get a competitive offer in there but still get it accepted? Things like that, right? Like knowing the client very well in a way where I can and help the realtor. But before I even have that type of dynamic, things like I've done things where I offer, CMAs and AVMs and all that using House Canary, but that's just a basic level. That's more of like a spray and pray type of value add. My presence locally is the value add, and I know that sounds very uppity. It's not meant to be. It's just that I really work hard to be front of mind with frequent value adds for the community.
I love that. I'm going to summarize as I heard it and correct me, just so I want
Yes.
everyone to really understand because it was so good. So your approach is you are a local expert. You are really good at what you do, not just in doing loans, but understanding the real estate market and the trends in your market, and also understand what's going on with rates, what's going on with the economy, what's going on with the market. That is your expertise. Then you go into your local market, and this is what you've done. You meet everybody and you share that expertise with everybody that you're good. And you do it through stories as well to build that credibility because people remember stories and forget facts, numbers, and if you tell them you're good, they're gonna forget that. But they remember that story and they're really good. And you keep doing that until the realtor says, Taylor, you're very good. How can I send you some business? And then you wow them with how good you are at actually doing loans and helping the client, providing the scenarios, being fast, everything from there. And as the relationship develops and you understand the network of your realtor, you leverage that reputation and how good you are, and that you've technically never asked for anything, and you ask for an introduction to someone specific in their network. It's not like, hey, do you know one more realtor you can introduce me to? It's like, no, it seems like you actually ask for specific people, and then they're more than happy to introduce you to that person, and they introduce you with value. So you're basically sold already. So when you get in there, you just have to be the same old you that you are, nothing extra, no promises, and you keep getting relationships from there and your reputation keeps growing. Did I capture that?
Bingo. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, I've had a number of large, medium to large teams where the team leads who I've never met before reach out to me and say, "Hey, we want to interview to be our preferred lender." Right?
Wow.
And that's not a paid partnership. That's not, a give and take thing. That's just we want somebody who's going to have excellent service. We know who you are. We want to work with you, right? And it's been great. I mean, since being on this call, I've had a number of those. I've had texts from people who I've met that way, like a number of them. Some of them clients now. A lot of realtors are clients of mine too. I do a lot of loans for realtors, right? I have no issue. Like everybody knows that meme where the guy's walking with the girl and then the guy's looking behind at the other girl. I have no
Yeah.
issue being that other girl. I'm the other girl. I don't need to be the one who's on the billboard with you, the one who's doing all the co-marketing and the Zillow and all that. I'm the other girl, and I'm fine doing that.
I love it. I love it. Well, we've been going for a long time. Taylor, what advice do you have for other loan officers?
What advice do I have for other loan officers? That's a good question. I think that my experience and my background is going to be very different than most people coming in cold. Now, the closest you'll get to that is if you have that sales background, right? Um, just selling your own style, right? The scripting and repetition and reps can only go so far, and there's definitely a place for that depending on the model. But there's something to be said about selling in your own style, being yourself, right? Because if you're trying to be somebody else, there's some underlying, lack of authenticity there, right? And people sense that you got to be yourself, right? I'm me. Right? I can't be anybody but me. Love it or hate it, depending on the day. That's how my wife feels. Love it or hate it, right? I just got to be the same me with everybody, everywhere I go, including in business. And if I'm good at what I do and I understand the stuff, right? That'll go very far, right? So that's another piece of advice. Make sure you know what you're talking about. If you're in mortgage, you need to be following mortgage-backed securities, not just the letter from your company that comes out when the market changes, right? Like you need to be studying this stuff like yourself, using the tools, MBS Live, MBS Highway, as well as many other tools that are out there to be able to understand secondary, to understand pricing, to understand the micro and macro changes on a daily, monthly, yearly basis, cyclical changes.
I love it. So, the advice, be excellent and be you so you can be happy doing it and you can do it for a long time.
Bingo.
So, I love it. Thank you so much for this. And I hope if anyone wants to reach out to you, is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
What's the best contact information? I'll put it in the show notes. How about that?
Yeah, I'll just give my cell phone number 520-788-9076.
Perfect. You're gonna get a lot of calls.
I hope
Thanks,
so, and I
David.
hope it's not spam or trigger leads.